jumps on probably. One of the advantages, is that, and I guess now people jumping into the stream, after the fact, we'll be able to see this as the beginning. First of all, welcome to our first show. One of the nice things about people subscribing to our YouTube channel is that they're going to be able to see notifications for all these live shows and new videos that we're posting. So those of y'all that are not subscribed yet, definitely subscribe. Hopefully this is content that's fun for you, informative, give you something to think about, something to laugh about. Got Jelando with me.
Hey.
We are the better half of Groove Adhesive.
Exactly.
I don't think that even Kevin and Josh would agree with that.
Of course. They won't say it, but they know it's right. They know it's true.
Yeah, they know the truth. I think we're both kind of coming from our own home studios. One of the interesting things right now with the quarantine situation is musicians are really trying to, even more than usual, figure out ways to improve their home studio, figure out what to do, writing and arranging and recording. So Jelando, give me a shot at what you got going on in there. If you have any keyboards or amps or basses or DAWs, or what do you got going on in the home studio?
Well, let me move over to the side here. See if I can see this.
Oh, there we go. We got a screensaver. Now we're talking.
Yeah, that's so that's my my humble setup. Where I have a couple of monitors. Now the monitors on the bottom are not working right now. They were actually a gift given to me, but not. There's an amp that needs to power those. Those are not. The monitors on top are self-powered, and these are not. And so I have to. Well, my man will give me an amp someday. He says that. We'll see. But I'm still able to get done what I need to get done. And let's see if I can see what happens when I. So that's pretty much it. I have an iMac, 27-inch.
Nice.
I got it refurbished from Micro Center some years ago. Then I have a little mixer, which is also an interface, so I can go through there and into the computer where I can plug my bass and my keyboard. As you can see, my keyboard there.
Thank you.
I'm old school.
Is that a keyboard or is that a MIDI control?
That's a keyboard. That's the Motif.
Old school.
That's the Motif 6. So yeah, that's old. But it still gets the job done. As far as DAWs, let's see. It's the screensaver. Let me let's see. In there, I have. Hope I can hear. Let's see. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll just tell you what's in there. It's GarageBand and Logic 10.
Right.
So I used to do Pro Tools, but I can't afford to upgrade. Keep upgrading. They like to upgrade, and they don't want you to use nothing else but their stuff.
Yeah.
And it ain't cheap. And so I decided to go with Logic because you can upgrade with Logic and still keep your same stuff. And
right.
Don't be it's not a hassle. So I love that. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
You got the basses in there too. I see in the background.
Oh, right. You see that there? Got two my MTD and Ken Smith back there, and then I have a little guitar. Well, acoustic guitar that is. That I'm getting the chance, with this quarantine, I'm getting the chance to get better on these instruments, on these other instruments. So don't be surprised if I break them out, and we're gonna do some gigs with them. I need to get an electric guitar, really set it off.
Oh, there you go. We don't even need Josh anymore. That'll be fun.
I'll be playing guitar and bass on the gig at the same time.
Hey, you just loop it. You get one of those Boss stations, and you can loop stuff, and no need to have a guitarist. I've got a similar setup. I'm actually on the second floor right now. This is my mother's piano. I'll give you all a shot. So this has been in the family for about 40 years now. It's a piano that's over 100 years old. My mom bought it. She got it used, and it was recently refurbished in Seattle, Washington. So this is a great instrument. I do a lot of my writing here on the second floor. And then I've got my music room on the fourth floor upstairs. This little, half of a room next to the attic where they stick musicians. My wife has the nice study on the third floor, and the musician gets the tiny little room. But I've got my MacBook Air in there, which I'm running Logic off of. Shout out to Logic. They're definitely not sponsoring us. I can, Jelando can affirm that, but it is a great DAW. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
If they want to sponsor,
they will.
Yeah, no, exactly. We got Felix jumping on. How's it going, Felix?
What's up, Felix?
It's one of Shannon's uncles, so all in the family. He's been checking a lot of this stuff out, both some of the Instagram Live and the YouTube Live, and some of the new songs that we've been releasing. Upstairs I've got, just to round it out, I've got a couple of MIDI controllers. The A49 by Roland, highly recommend that if you're looking for a cheap, good, usable MIDI controller. I've got, you remember Larry Slazak? Great tenor sax player. He ran the jazz program over at Rice when I was there as an undergrad. And he found out I was working on a lot of piano stuff and trying to write. If you know Larry, you can imagine the voice. I don't do a very good Larry impression, sadly. But he said, "Let me give you my keyboard. You can practice on that. It'll really help you out." And I was like, "Larry, I don't want to take your keyboard." Like, "Oh no, it's a piece of shit. I don't need it. You can use it. It'll help you practice." Which I was like, "Thanks, I guess." Is that a compliment? I think that's a compliment. That's a mostly a compliment.
I used to play with his son all the time, Joe.
Yeah. Joe's one of my best friends.
I haven't seen him in years. But,
the way to hang out with Joe. If everybody out there wanted to hang out with Joe, just call him up and say, "Hey, I got tickets to the Dynamo or the rugby game or the basketball game or the TSU girls volleyball game or the whatever." He loves just going, and doesn't matter if it's D3 college or the Texans or anything in between. He loves just going and watching a game and being out. And he really just enjoys the game day atmosphere all the way through. Get some popcorn and sit there and just sort of enjoy it. So that's one of the things I love to do with Joe. The three of us used to go to Rice football games sometimes and sit in the bleachers with no one else around and nobody's there. And it's like 300 people plus the teams plus us just sitting there eating popcorn. You're not even paying attention to the game.
I guess they wasn't winning.
Oh, they never do. So those are a lot of my favorite memories with Joe and Larry together. So I've got that keyboard upstairs. It's got one usable sound patch on it, and that's this like kind of organ sound. It's kind of click organs. I love the way I do a lot of. You can do a lot of walking bass lines and stuff, and read through the real book tunes, and try to do some writing up there as well when I'm trying to be quiet and not bother the neighbors. And then I've got a Scarlett 2i2 audio interface. Kids out there looking for your home studio need an interface. Don't buy the mic, don't buy the computer, and then sit there like, how do these go together? Get yourself an audio interface.
Yeah. That's what I need to upgrade to. Eventually, I'm gonna get an interface.
Right.
So I'm looking at the Focusrite.
Yep. That's the one Kevin just got. It's the same one I've got. Yeah. The 2i2. I think it's a little under 200. It's great. Nothing but great things to say about it. I've used it on gigs live. You can use it, a MIDI controller and just play a patch, and it's dependable and nothing but good things. Focusrite also not sponsoring the channel, but they should be, and we're gonna work on that.
None of these companies we're talking about are sponsoring us, but hey, after today maybe they will. If give them enough input, when people come on and watch and they hear about these companies we are talking about.
That's right. I'm using Me Audio. earphone, in-ear monitors as well. Just, throwing that out there. We'll just keep name dropping until somebody picks us up.
Right.
I did want to, for those of y'all who don't know, we just released Noches Locas on our YouTube channel. So if you're new, it's a good one to check out. I might play that one. There's Kevin. I might play that one in a minute and talk through it a little bit. He's got the 4x4. So more focused, right? Shout outs. But anyways, yeah, definitely check that tune out. It's one of our new ones. We've got a lot of old stuff on the channel as well. So if you're stopping in for the first time, yeah, exactly.
A lot of videos on there. A lot of good stuff, and you owe it to yourself to subscribe and to keep up with what we're doing, because we're going to be doing a lot more, and you definitely want to know what's happening. You don't want to miss out.
Exactly right. Almost all these tunes, I think everything on our channel is original compositions as well. So obviously not stuff you can get anywhere else, first of all, but second of all, that means, we're writing new stuff and always posting and trying to update and bring new material to the table you're not going to see anywhere else. So I think we've got a new song called Down to Earth that Josh wrote that we're all tracking right now. Obviously, we just talked about sort of the recording setup. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Josh just commenting on the page. No, in fact, we were not talking anything bad about you specifically, just about how Jelando's probably better than you at guitar, and we're probably going to go forward as a three-piece with him looping bass and guitar parts. But that was on the earlier part of the show. You got to tune in on time, Josh, to get that kind of content. Yeah, definitely subscribe, everybody. But yeah, so we're working on a new tune called Down to Earth. We're tracking that. Everybody's got to record on their own. Obviously, it's a huge challenge for us to get together during this time. We might try to do that at some point, trying to figure out the just the mechanics and the safety measures that would be necessary to all be in the same place. Obviously, a lot of studio setups, people really got close to each other, but then who else was in there? And so we're working all that stuff out. But for right now, we're trying to track things individually by ourselves, and we're going to mash them up and see how it goes. See if we can get some good audio and good content out there for y'all on some new original material.
And it's a cool thing being able to do it like this. Yeah, years ago we couldn't do this. That's true.
Shoot, like you said, years, like 3 years ago, this would have been much, much harder. And I remember having some conversations with Nolan like 5 years ago, and he was talking about in-home studio stuff. What are you talking about? In-home studio? Like this is, you talk about it like everybody has it. He's like, oh yeah, it's a great thing. You can do it now. And then a couple years ago, somebody was talking to me about it, and I was talking, and it had already flipped where, now I was on board and a bunch of other people on board. I would say 5 years ago, most musicians didn't have setups like this at home, and now, I think most people do already. Yeah. And if you didn't, then now you're sprinting to try to piece together, buy that extra audio interface or an extra mic or an extra some lighting. If you're trying to do, I could use some lighting here to make the Instagram or YouTube live setups a little better. So you're looking at all that kind of stuff. If we start recording with multiple camera angles, maybe you need another camera or two. So musicians everywhere are starting to try to solve that stuff.
It's becoming imperative now, really.
We're
another good thing about it is that it don't take much.
Right. Yeah, you think about we were both in the studio 20 years ago, probably. You think about how much per hour and the level of expertise, right? You had to have one of the 30 guys in town who could really do that stuff to be in the room with you, or else what do any of these buttons, what is tape, and now, I know nothing, and I'm sitting up there and I can track, put four mics on my drum set and plug it into the audio interface or the board and plug it into my laptop computer with a little cable, and press the R button and I get 4 WAV files and I send it along to whoever's mixing it, and they're like, "Thanks for the professional recording." I didn't, just went to Best Buy and picked up a couple spare parts, and it's really easy. You don't have to be. I'm definitely not an expert for sure, and I'm able to pull it off. So it's a blessing in that way, like Jelando said, that it's happening now. Got some interesting bickering back and forth on the comments from Josh and Kevin right now. Now both of them are more than welcome to jump in video, but they're too scared. They're sitting at home just commenting on our post here. But I do have a couple of clips of Kevin playing Iwi where I'm sure Josh is better. I can attest to that.
Why don't we get the viewers to dare them to jump on here?
They can do it whenever they want. I sent them the link, so that is. I don't blame them. I think we're doing a pretty good job. The bar is pretty high.
Yeah, we don't need
I might not add them to this, even if they jump on. Yeah, Josh just posted. I think this is kind of the point we were trying to make. This is really something that evens the playing field, where it used to be that there was a barrier of entry to people trying to make music independently, and now you really can write and arrange and record and collaborate without a big budget, and that's a great thing for music going forward, for creative music going forward especially. People can really see their vision to the end without having to put up a ton of money on the front end. And obviously Kevin being a pessimist, awesome. You see how he sort of slyly sneaks that in, where the profile picture is him playing bass. You see that, right? That's
not. I see that.
That's not by accident. Yeah.
It's not his bassing. That's not bass.
Not a bass player. Kevin is a guitar player. That's what he plays at church. So that's who he is.
Okay, right.
Third best guitarist in the band, probably, unless Felix plays. I wouldn't be surprised if Felix played. He probably does. That guy's pretty good at everything. All right, I think this is a good time to jump in. I did want to, for those of y'all who haven't heard it, did want to play that new tune we were talking about, Noches Locas. It's basically Latin-inspired. Josh and Kevin and Felix, I guess. Josh and Kevin went to University of Miami as students. Felix spent a lot of time there studying with Arturo Sandoval, I believe, and some other people. But there's also a lot of just Houston influence from the Latin perspective to this song as well. I know, Jelando, you and I have been playing, just this rhythm section, freelance, gigging musicians in Houston for a couple decades now. And as a rhythm section player, if you don't know a little bit of Latin, if you don't have some comfort level with, the language and the style, then you can't hang on a lot of gigs. So
you're exactly right. There is a heavy Latin population here, and they know their music, and we have to play it. It's but the good thing about it that it's fun, and we always have a good time, and people always enjoy it, want to dance or whatever they feel like doing to it. And so it's I always enjoy playing it, and like this tune here. I remember the time we played like at Natsuo and some of the other spots, even Preamble, we do that.
Yeah.
People are always up and alert, and some even dance to it, and so that's a plus for us.
Yeah, I think you used the right word there, joy. I think that more so than almost any other style of music that I get to play on a regular basis, there's just a lot of joy in Latin music. It's ensemble playing for the most part, especially in the percussion section. Usually I don't get to play with percussion. Would always rather play with percussion, but just if it's a jazz trio, there's not a percussionist ever. And to get to play, ensemble playing in a percussion section like that. If you got somebody on congas and somebody on timbales and maybe somebody on the bell and somebody on drum set and somebody on bongos, and suddenly there's 4 or 5 of you and everybody's just kind of digging it and building a lot of energy and a lot of appreciation, right? As a section player, you enjoy what the other people are playing, and that's there's a lot of times I know watching you when we're playing with Marlon, there's a lot of times where you'll just suddenly do a little like turn around and look over at him with this big smile on your face, like, what did you just do? That element of just enjoying all the little language and all the little back and forth and all the stuff that we're all doing is something that this music really does capture.
Yeah, and there's no way that we could take the song to the next level without Marlon.
Absolutely.
And I feed off his energy. I feed off of that's why you see that when I listen to what he's doing, or something that he'll do that it catch my attention. So I look over there and say, yeah, man, what was that, man? That was cool. I say all that without saying it, just by how that go.
I do. It's I think that's been one of the great things for both of us, adding Marlon to the section, because in a lot of ways it was the 2 of us, and then now it's the 3 of us. Josh jumps in as a rhythm section player sometimes on some tunes, so he's kind of an honorable mention, he's a guest once in a while in our house, But having Marlon there full time on a lot of these tunes really just kind of expands the palette, right? There's stuff that you and I were hearing before, but maybe didn't have a way to articulate, right? So especially as a drummer, there are a lot of times where I hear something, well, I got 2 hands and 2 feet, and like I'm running out of like mental power to, I can't play a bell pattern plus a conga pattern plus a little bongo pattern plus a timbal riff plus a shaker. Plus I don't have that many hands and legs, and my brain's not that big. And so when Marlon joined the band, he came over to our house, and we sat and went through. We had just finished that preamble recording session with all the videos. So anybody who wants to go back and check on our YouTube channel, we've got all the videos from that session still up there. July 2nd, 2018, 19, whatever it was.
19. That was
19.
July.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh, it was July. It was back before the 4th. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I remember.
And
we had on our black, and it was hot.
Yeah. The lights were bright.
Thanks to Kevin.
Yeah. It serves him right for not jumping on. He can't defend himself. But yeah, so Marlon came over and we had those videos to go through. Josh actually brought up a really good point I was about to talk about. Marlon is a lot like the rest of us, where we've all been band leaders in our freelance careers and our musical lives, and we think about music that way. So he came over and I bought him lunch, and we grabbed, there's a great taco place right around the corner from Brothers Tacos. Also not sponsoring us, but shout out to Brothers Tacos. And
we'll take an endorsement from them.
I'm telling you, I'm just pitching everything over here. Nobody's giving. But we brought back a sack of those and some salsa, and we were like going through. We just went through each video. We had the sheet music out on the table. It looked like mad scientists, and we're marking up stuff. And he wanted to know, hey, what are you thinking in all of these different sections of different tunes? And I was telling him like, hey, here's what I wish I could also play. Like if you could add this kind of feel to this moment, and I wish I could have a shaker here, but I just don't have an extra hand. Or I've been comping with a lot of like toms in this section. I'd rather that be you on congas, and then I'll stay off the toms. We went through all of the songs with that kind of detail. And that was sort of how he wanted to think through everything. So then we started getting on some gigs, and it was really fun to hear those little moments where I'd felt not stuck, because it felt good as a quartet, but like there was a little extra thing I wanted to say and you couldn't quite say it. And he was able to tap into a lot of that stuff right away. And also gotten much more comfortable as we've gone, because we've had him now since August. So, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you guys work real well together. And I hear it, but most of all, I can feel it.
Right.
So,
right.
And that, I feed off of that.
Yeah. No.
You know?
I think that
work real well together there.
Yeah, it goes back to that idea of when you hear things the same and you like the ideas people have, you like the language, you like the approach, you like the, you know, if I like what he's putting over the top, then I'll want to be underneath more. If same thing with you and me, like if I've got a part that's simpler and you're up in the register playing over the top of that, then I'll stay simpler, and vice versa. You know, that feeling each other out is like, oh, you have an idea of where to go here. Let me get either on top of what you're doing or underneath what you're doing, or even enmesh with what you're doing. Or, and that comes back to listening, but also comes back to just, you know, a lifetime of listening to music, and having some of the same kind of, there's some albums that we've all listened to that we had similar kind of, oh, that was a cool moment, or oh, that's a nice, you can do that. Oh, I'm going to try that. You know, we've all had similar enough, you know, lifetimes of listening to where we have a lot of the same either instincts in the moment, or if I hear your instinct, like that was cool, I'm going to go with that, or vice versa. And
definitely.
And Marlon has been, like I said, he's the third member of the house. Josh is just a guest once in a while, but that's been really awesome to have him as part of that rhythm section, especially because this is original material, right? So if we're doing a cover band gig, I like playing Brick House. It's fun. People dance, you know, but it's not like I have an emotional attachment to that song, right? Or how we're phrasing it, or how, you know, it's like you want to do a really good job for the people that are there, that are dancing, and then you go home. But for this stuff, we're orchestrating. We're trying to, it's like, how do we want to play this song? You know,
right. It's
you
an experiment. We're experimenting and we're developing. It's like, you know, well, you know, we're men, so we don't know what it's like to give birth.
That's right. Thank God.
The songs are, but the songs are like children.
Right.
You know, whether you're a father, I'm a father, but even if you are a father figure, you know, and you're watching something develop and grow, that's what I like to equate the music to. You know, and it's still not all that it can be. We're not finished, you know, because when we play it, and that's the thing with a lot of the stuff we do, a lot of the music is that we allow it to grow and develop, because, you know, we are not the same people from one day to the next.
Right.
You know, we're constantly evolving, and so and we like the music to do the same thing. It's a good thing when the music does that also. You know,
absolutely.
So that's a good thing about our original music, because we have the freedom to do that. You know, Josh gets upset sometimes, but we roll right over that, keep right on going.
He's a delicate flower. You have to stroke the ego, but then you also have to once in a while tell him no. Like, you know, I think we're onto something. Just let us go. So Josh is great. That ownership and responsibility, you know, of fatherhood, but also the feeling like you don't have total control. Like, you know, you do the best that you can for your kids, but then there's stuff that they have to do on their own. Like, you can't sort of make this song be something, right? A lot of times it's this weird, out of your control kind of, you put it out there and you don't know how the other musicians in the band are going to approach it and play it and interpret it. You don't know how the audience is going to respond to it or hear it. They might hear it in a different way than you intended, right? That dichotomy of, on the one hand, you're in total control, it's yours, but then on the other hand, you're out of control. You have to let it go, and the song takes on a life of its own at some level. And I know Josh does that on the tunes he writes and then trusts us to interpret. And vice versa, when I know both of us have brought songs into the band, same kind of thing where, on Thursday Morning is a good example. One of the tunes I wrote at the beginning, I wanted Kevin to play sort of out of time, just over this D flat, vague thing. I had an idea of how I wanted that to go, but if any other saxophone played that section, it's going to sound different than if Kevin plays that section. It's not highly composed. It's very much improvisation and free, and it's a palette. And then the tune comes in, and hopefully, there's a written melody, whatever not. But when you write tunes, you want to have that freedom within the band for everybody to be interpreting and everybody to be contributing to how this thing is going to grow and evolve. So yeah, it's scary and fun.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, I think we're gonna look at some of the other songs that we have on the video. Since
yeah, what do you want to jump into? Give me a
let's see. Let's what's a
direction. Yeah, so if anybody's out there on the comment section, throw your favorite song out there. But otherwise, Jelando's gonna come up with something.
Let's go Camel Ride.
You want to do the studio sassafras version or the old school quartet version?
The sassafras version.
All right. Let's do it. This is one that we recorded same day as Noches. We released it a couple months ago. This is probably the song that I point to the most when people ask, what style of music do y'all play? And I say, it's hard to explain. And then I show them this song and say, you know what I mean? Like, what is this? I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
It's creative and it's improvisational and it's got beautiful melody, rhythmic and harmonic structures. And that's what makes good music. And that's, got to be good enough at the end of the day when you're trying to decide what something's called. This one starts, I don't know if y'all can hear it on the thread. Obviously, just jump onto the YouTube channel. You can listen to it on your own if the audio is not great or the video is skipping a little bit on the stream. Starts off with a bass intro. You want to talk them through a little bit of this groove, Jelando?
Yeah. Well, the song is it's an odd meter song, but once I get the bass line going, once I like to lock in the groove of it and set a foundation for everybody else to do what they do. But it's was given to me. Josh came in with the bass line, and so what I wanted to do was take it and take it a little bit further, maybe add a little more spice to it, a little more to really put myself into it, and then what comes out, that's what I'm feeling. That's so important, and I'm really, really big on the feel. I wanted to feel good, and then I wanted to everybody else to feel good to everybody else as well. And so feeding off of Jordan, Marlon, and then even though I started off, once the rhythm section comes in, then and everybody else comes in, then it takes out even more. I might have to clamp down a little bit harder because now we're all in together, and I'm really feeling it now. But another thing is now I've never ridden a camel. I don't know I've never even seen a camel, and all I can go on is what I've seen on TV, and but if I can recreate that picture, through my playing, that's what I'm trying to strive for. I really try to paint a picture of what a camel would look like, walking or sleep, or even when I see someone riding on it, what the ride would be like.
Right.
I would try to interpret that, translate that through the bass.
I think you see a lot of that in just music of all kinds, jazz specifically, but even classical music or other kinds of composition where, you don't need to know what, it's not even a matter of like exactly, it's sort of like art, right? It's not like draw the perfect picture of a camel. It's like, what do you think a camel feels like, right? Which almost doesn't matter what the camel actually looks like. What this song is kind of what Josh feels riding a camel would be like. Even if he's way off, it's still sort of more of a color and a feeling and it doesn't need to be an exact rendering to be really cool art. One of the things that I love about this song is that it feels so open. One of the ways, you talked about Josh handing you a bass line, but you phrased the line, the first note is so open and warm and long, legato, that it makes the rest of the phrase still feel open, even though it's sort of a busy phrase, right? I mean, there's a lot of notes in the bar, but because of the way you phrase that first note, the whole thing still feels very warm and open. And that's a little bit of like what I'm trying to do as well. You get that shaker pattern, and then what Marlon and I are doing really is just layering subdivisions, and it really should. The way I think of the camel part of this is that you're kind of like bobbing around on the top of it, and there's not really as defined of kind of thing, which is why you phrasing that big one, and I'm phrasing the same kind of thing with the bass drum part. Having that really clean, big, open, warm one allows us to kind of float and kind of waves over the top of it. This little outro is actually a perfect example of that, where one is the bass is phrasing one in this very clean or very warm and open way, and everybody else is just wandering around and bobbing and it never gets away from home, right? It always feels very, very much grounded and comfortable and home, even though everybody's phrasing over the bar line and phrasing in ways that aren't even really all that responsible to the 6, which is the time signature. It's amazing how if you played the bass line a little differently, all the ideas that are going on right now in this song would fall apart, and that's one of the things as a musician, especially as a rhythm section player, you have this amazing responsibility to like some of the simple stuff you do is the most important thing in the entire song. And if you just did it a little differently, the whole thing would fall apart. It's important to remember that. It's easy to watch all the crazy chops videos, and we all have musical heroes that, oh man, I want to solo like that guy, or I want to, play something really sophisticated like that guy. But sometimes it's just the way you phrase part of this little groove is going to create this elaborate extension of solo ideas for everybody.
Oh yeah, that's definitely, when you're doing your job, so to speak. But you're not focusing on. You're really focusing on playing music, and saying that you want people, not necessarily just the musicians, but just your regular people, just to enjoy it. Those things, what you were talking about, those little, those simple things. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
Little small things like that. It can never be estimated or never be stated enough how important that is to the music. It just can't, and it's something that you may not really pay attention from the offset, but the longer you listen and the more you listen, and they say more is caught than taught, and so when those things are caught, it's like, yeah, like an aha moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think one of the sort of ways that you kind of know you're becoming more sophisticated in music is when you start out, you listen for people that you want to play like. And the more that I've gotten into it, I really love. I think Tony Williams was the first person that I noticed this about. I love musicians that make everybody else in the band play great. Like you can't even help being hip the way that he's phrasing everything. You want to get to the point where you feel like you control more than just your instrument. You can control, yeah, exactly, the way, the quality of the solos, ideas. You make them comfortable, and you give them this a little push in this direction, a little push in that direction, and suddenly they're playing stuff that's better than what they played last night. And somebody in the crowd goes, "Wow, you sounded great tonight." And you're a rhythm section player sitting over there going, "Yeah, and I made him do that." I think that's something that both of us have always felt and taken pride in. And I know Marlon's the same way. And Josh is the same way. Josh is a rhythm section player in that way. He wants to play in a way that makes the band better, makes everybody better. So that's a big part of what we do. I don't know if we have any more comments. So did want to talk for at least a second about kind of what we have going forward. This is, definitely if you have any comments or critiques or feedback for the YouTube live, or what you'd want to see as content on this channel going forward, let us know. Like I mentioned before, we're recording a new song, Down to Earth, this week. Everybody at their own private
studio.
Exactly. In quarantine. Yeah. And so look out for that. We'll be releasing sort of a rough draft of that in the next week or so. Definitely let us know what you think about that. Hopefully it's a nice behind the scenes of how the sausage is getting made in this time and place. And then let us know if you want us to redo some old stuff, if you want to see some more new tunes, if you want videos about breaking down songs. We talked a little bit about Noches and Camel Ride today. If you want any more detail on any of those songs, we can do a whole video breaking down a song. We can do a video breaking down any kind of gear or pedals or stylistic approaches or songwriting, any of those kinds of things.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about this channel is that you're taking the journey with the band.
Right.
We're letting you into our studio, our rehearsal. Basically, we're letting people in. We're letting you into our heads.
That's right. That's right. It's a scary place. Fair warning. That's why Kevin's not on here right now. You don't want in there.
But that's the beauty of it. That's the benefits of being a subscriber to our YouTube channel, is that you get the chance to take the journey with us, and it's an exciting thing. And for those of you, those who are subscribers right now, hold on, because it's gonna be fun.
I agree.
And the rest, come on. What are you waiting on? We're right here. Let's go.
There you go.
Subscribe. Yeah.
That's a perfect way to end it. So we will see y'all later. We'll let you know either on Instagram or some other place, kind of when to expect it. Jelando and I'll be doing some of these going forward. Let us know if you have times that you prefer. We're not playing gigs right now, so we've got a lot of free time. So if there's a best time to do it, let us know. And with that,
all right.
See y'all later.
Peace. Stay healthy, stay clean, stay safe.
Amen.